back with another tier list. Today we're doing another stadiums one. This time we're doing the NFL stadiums. So yeah, not gonna do really much more of an intro thing. I'm alone again. Brian didn't decide to join. I got a bunch more here on the bottom. We're gonna start with those, and then we'll start up here, work our way down. So that way we can get this reformatted and stuff. So yeah, let's jump right into it with an F tier for FedEx Field. Nothing against the stadium. It's just, it's so out of place. It's not even in Washington, D.C. It's in Maryland. And it takes so much longer. It's like an hour and 40 minutes away. And it's atrocious. It's in the middle of nowhere. Come on, it's in horrible shape. Just build a new stadium downtown with the Wizards and the Capitals and the Nationals, and boom, there you go. Fix it. This one up here, let's check it real quick. Give it a good check, and we're gonna see what it is. Oh yeah, this is Nissan Stadium, home of the Tennessee Titans. This one's gonna get a C tier ranking in my opinion. I think it's a little older. It's not too old though, and it's definitely just more of an average tier, I'd say. Nothing too spectacular. But it is just, more average. It's not anything too revolutionary, but it's not horrible either. You know what I'm saying? Next up is Raymond James Stadium, home of the Buccaneers. This one's gonna get a B tier ranking for me, mainly because it is more of a warmer climate, so it's held up better. It's also got a nice theming to it for the Buccaneers, so that's cool. But again, otherwise, it's just more of an average stadium. But it is a pretty nice one, if that. Not anything too horrible. So move on to CenturyLink Field now. I've seen this one in person, home of the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to give this one an A tier ranking. Not because it's a technologically highly advanced stadium or anything along those lines. It is just, it's because of the crowd. Seattle's crowd is one of the rowdiest, loudest crowds in all the NFL, with one of the loudest overall crowd records. This one's not, and so this stadium is definitely one. Check out, it's even designed to be loud by those two things right there. Those two little dome things are supposed to reflect noise back. So that's why it's going to get an A tier ranking. It's also a pretty nice stadium. It's in a pretty good location. It's not too new, but it's newer, so it's pretty good. Moving on, this is that is Levi's Stadium, and this stadium, home to the 49ers, newer stadium, but it's gonna get an E tier ranking. It's not anything. It's unnecessary, to say the least. They moved out of the old Candlestick Park, and it's a good reason. It's a good thing they moved out of there, but this stadium's not better. It's got a universal Wi-Fi, but the Wi-Fi's horrible. It's in a hot location. It's very hot there, and it's not. Yeah, it's just bad. I mean, it's not an ideal condition for a football game at all, and the fans don't come, so it's not a great experience. Even though the Niners are good right now, well, they were good. They were good last year, but still not the best environment in my opinion. And environment's all about it, when it's just more of it's newer, but it's still just somewhat average for a regular NFL stadium. You got to have that fan experience. You got to have the experience to pick it up. And this doesn't have it. It actually brings it down in the opposite direction. So the last on this little bottom list here before we start going from the top down. This is Heinz Field, home of the Pittsburgh Steelers. This one's going to get a B tier ranking as well because, again, more or less, it's a pretty nice stadium. I like the color of the seats, it reflects the color for Pittsburgh and stuff. And Pittsburgh's got a pretty rowdy I wouldn't say loyal, but it's got a pretty rowdy fan base, so that helps too with a nice game experience. It's newer and it's a nicer stadium, and it provides for a great game day experience. If you're a Pittsburgh fan, if you're not a Pittsburgh fan, well, good luck. But it is definitely up there, but it's definitely not A tier. But it's definitely not C or lower for sure. Just, right in there for top stadiums. So we just reformat these real quick. There we go. All right, let's move on to the top. We're going to go top now, alphabetically on again. Just like in the MLB one, these are all organized alphabetically by team. But we started with the bottom one so that I could get this reformatted. So let's move on now to the Arizona Cardinals Stadium. This is State Farm Stadium now. And this one's also going to be a B tier ranking for me. It's indoor, which helps with the Arizona heat. And it's pretty new, opened in 2006, I think, and it's hosted two Super Bowls since, plus a lot of other things. And that's mainly because of the climate, being in Arizona. It's got great climate and stuff, but would I say it's a marvelous renovation? No. It is the first stadium to have where you can have the retractable field, so that gives a good boost right there. But it's definitely not the best. Actually, I'm going to bump it up to A tier because of the retractable field thing. So there we go. First S tier ranking coming up. This is Atlanta Falcons Stadium, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, one of the newer stadiums on the list. This thing's just a technological masterpiece. It's a little pointy and jaggedy, but it works. It's supposed to be that. It's got a Chick-fil-A inside the stadium, even though it's not open on Sundays. Or at least it shouldn't be. But it's beautiful, and you got the nice screens on the top. Sucks the Falcons are garbage, and nobody comes to these games, because it is definitely a waste of a masterpiece, but it is a beautiful stadium to look at from the outside and from the inside. So that's pretty much all I have to say for that. Moving on to Baltimore Ravens Stadium. This is M&T Bank or MMB something Stadium, home of the Baltimore Ravens. This one's gonna get a B tier ranking as well. Again, just more of an average stadium. It's not bad by any means with the structural or just bad fan experience. But it is in a pretty bad area. I mean, Baltimore is not really that great of an area to start with, so that doesn't help. But it is a good fan experience, especially with the Ravens being really good right now. So that's why it's going to get more of an average type of ranking. Now, Buffalo Bills Stadium is a hard one to rank. If it was just by structural itself, probably D tier. But fan experience, probably B tier. So we'll cut the corners and go to C tier, because it is, when you talk about fan experience alone, it's definitely a higher tier ranking for that. But the stadium itself, it's older. Buffalo is definitely one of the top teams in the market for a brand new stadium right now, especially with the team they have. And the fact that they're legitimate AFC, top AFC teams right now, which is surprising, being the Bills. But the fan experience makes it all. It's one of the best fan experiences. People just have a great time. They have fun. They're rowdy, and they're just great people be around Buffalo. So I mean, that's why it's going to get bumped up there for a C tier ranking. But again, it's not all about the fan experience. It's about the stadium as well. So that's why it's getting bumped down a little bit. Moving on. Bank of America Stadium, home of the Carolina Panthers. I've seen this stadium before in person, but it's been about 5 years, so I can't really give that renovation too much. Probably gonna have to give it a B tier ranking, because definitely it's not an old stadium, but it is showing some rust, some age. Could use a renovation, but it's not desperate for one. Wouldn't say that, no. But it is a pretty nice stadium, I got to say. More of a tropical feel to it in Carolina. It's really cool. It fits really nice in the downtown area. But again, just another average stadium. Nothing too spectacular. Moving on to Soldier Field, and this one is a pretty historic one. I think it's one of the older NFL stadiums on this list, but it has gotten renovation. Recently, home of the Double Doink. This one's probably also going to get a B tier ranking. I've seen this one from a distance. I've never been really close to it, gotten a good outside look of it. But it is one of my top ones to, not one of my top, but it is eventually one that I do want to maybe go look, at least go to and look around, and trip to Chicago or something. But again, in my opinion, it's another average one. Paul Brown Stadium is going to also, actually, I've been a fan of the way Paul Brown Stadium looks. This is home of the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bungles, you know, they're not the greatest NFL franchise, but I am a fan of their stadium. I can't even talk. Beautiful masterpiece of architecture, in my opinion. That's why it's going to get bumped up to an A tier ranking. Their in-state rival, the Browns, their Factory of Sadness is going to get a C tier ranking. Again, it's really just an average stadium, so without the Browns part, it would probably be a B tier. But yeah, it's a Factory of Sadness. They're wasting a lot of talent. Legitimate core. And, you know, it talks about fan experience. You know, do you want to be in a depressed fan base for 4 hours, or do you want to be in a good fan base for 4 hours? It makes you wonder if you actually was worth purchasing the ticket or not. That's why I'm considering it in these lists. So there you go. So definitely this one's going to be getting an S tier. Jerry Jones's Cowboys Stadium himself. It's been the king of the NFL stadiums ever since it was built in 2009. It's definitely up top there for one of these stadiums I really want to go see in person one time, maybe even see a game at. It's got one of the largest TV screens in the world. It's the largest NFL stadium by seating capacity, with the only one that can reach over 100,000. I think the only one that can reach over 100,000. I think. Fact check me in the comments below, but I think it's the only one that can reach over 100,000. But that is with some extra seating that they add in for maybe playoff games or something. It's not like overall regular capacity about 98 or 99,000. But it is definitely a masterpiece, even though the Cowboys are not really well liked in the NFL community by just a general fan anymore. But Jerry Boy, he knows the stadiums, and that's definitely a moral masterpiece. Empower Field at Mile High, or at least it was called Empower Field. I don't know if it is anymore. So I'm going to get an A tier ranking in my for me. I think Denver did really well with their stadiums. This one's definitely not an exception to that. The high altitude provides for more kicking. It's where the NFL's longest field goal took place from my boy Matt Prater at 64 yards. In this stadium, I think it looks really nice. I like the orange. I'm a very big fan of the orange and blue color schemes on teams for a while now. The Mets use them, the Islanders use them, the Broncos use them. A lot of other teams, smaller down, still use them. So it fits in nice to this stadium. I think it's really well themed to the Broncos and Denver and everything. Just wish they wouldn't change the name so much, because it's hard to keep up. Lambeau Field. This is a hard one to really rank. It's a questionable one in my opinion. I don't want to give it an S tier, but I have to give it an S tier. It's Lambeau Field. Come on. It's historic, great atmosphere with the Green Bay Packers. It's just a beautiful work as well. Really, I'm not a fan of the Packers by any means, but they do have a really historic and cool stadium, and it's kind of like the Fenway of the NFL, basically. That's what I think Lambeau is. There's a lot of great fan experiences there with some great teams. Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers back to back. I mean, come on, how much more lucky can you get? But yeah, that's pretty much where we're going to go with that one. All right, Ford Field, the only one of these NFL stadiums that I've actually been inside of, but it's been 7 years, so I'm not really going to go off of that experience too much. Home of the Lions. This one's going to get an B tier ranking for me. And there's another average stadium. It's indoor. It has gotten a few renovations ever since its Super Bowl in 2006. It's been more revised for more crowd fan experience, interactions and stuff. And I think that's really cool. So it's on the rise, but again, it's just more of an average one. It's still pretty small. It's indoor, and of course, the on-field product hasn't been that great. Fan experience not that great either, compared to some other ones. But it's on the rise. Very close to an A tier ranking for me. And eventually, maybe it can get to an S tier. We can get some more improvements in there. But I do like it. It was pretty fun being there. So, NRG Stadium, home of the Texans, is next. I've been a fan of this one. I'm going to put it at the A tier. It's big, it's indoor, and it's a great fan experience. But Texans, been a little bit, DeAndre Hopkins left the Texans, so I don't know how much more I'm going to have more of that experience, but I gotta say, this is a stadium I want to go see because, again, like AT&T Stadium, it's massive. Great fan experience being football in Texas. Come on, it's a great experience. What do you even expect? But it's also got a very large TV screen. I think it's the largest now. I think it passed AT&T Stadium. Jerry boy, you got to get the record back, Jerry. Your stadium's going to turn irrelevant. But yeah, it's not the best though. That's why it's not gonna be S. But it is definitely worth an A tier in my opinion. Another one that's worth an A tier is the Colts Stadium. I forget what it's called. Lucas Oil Stadium, home of the Colts. I think Brian's been to this one. No, I don't know if Brian's been to this one or not. He's a Colts fan though. Another great masterpiece here. It's retractable from the top and from the sides, which is very unique to its stadium. It's hosted so many events. They built an entire hotel for the Super Bowl that the Colts Stadium hosted. I can't even talk. Hosted. This is 2012 or something, maybe. That's impressive, but it's a very beautiful stadium, and it's another one that I really want to go see. All right, Jacksonville Stadium. We're going a little bit low for this one. We're going to E tier for Jacksonville Stadium. They need a new stadium. They need to get out of Jacksonville. It's hot. It's hot. Horrible fan experience. Sure, they got a pool, but people just go in there with jeans and a sweatshirt and their cowboy boots and piss all over there because they're drunk as shit. It's not a great stadium. Not a great experience. I wouldn't assume. I've seen bad reviews about it. It's in need of a renovation big time. And really the only thing it has going for it is that it is in Florida, but is that really going for it? Nah. So, moving on. Arrowhead Stadium. Now this is a tricky one. It's an older stadium, but it has held up. It has the loudest crowd in the NFL, statistically. I still think that award goes to Seattle, but I can see why it goes to Kansas City. I've also seen the stadium in person before, so I can give a little bit more. I'm going to give this one probably a B tier. It's not... I'm going to give it A tier. It's not average. It's above average. And I think it has a very great fan experience. It's a classic stadium. It's a pretty older stadium, but it's held up in the retro perspective. Like, you can tell it's not too old, but it's not too new either. It's not like Mercedes-Benz Stadium, but it's not like Fenway, but football, It's definitely held up its test of time, and it has a very loyal fan base, and people always come out to games and stuff. And as long as Patrick Mahomes stays there with his over $500 million extension, this place is going to stick around with him. So, all right, I think this is, we're on the SoFi Stadium. This one's going to be getting an S tier. I got to see this. I watched the Rams this is not even before week 2 in the NFL football season, so I don't know what's going on or what will be going on throughout the season. This is going to come up probably about a month after it's uploaded, a little bit less than a month maybe. So probably about week 5. After week 5, right now it's just past week 1. Seen SoFi Stadium with the Rams playing the Cowboys week 1. I gotta say, this thing is just an absolute beauty to look at. They didn't show too many inside shots of the stadium, which kind of disappointed me. but they did show a lot of outside shots and get a pretty good look from the outside inside. And it's just a beauty to look at. It's got a nice district around it with fountains and everything. And like, redirect that water to the fires. Come on. I mean, but it's absolutely beautiful to look at. I'm glad it's inside because of the air quality as well. And I think it was needed. You know, I didn't want to do this tier list before this one was built because of I didn't want to rank the Coliseum in like a soccer stadium and then have it be outdated right after it's uploaded. So it's kind of why I held off on this one, because of SoFi Stadium and the other new stadium that opened this year. We'll get to that near the end of the video, but definitely an S tier ranking, a masterpiece, and I can't wait for fans to finally go in and see the stadium themselves, and it'll be awesome. It'll be awesome. Hard Rock Stadium, home of the Miami Dolphins. This one's probably gonna get a B tier. Home of the Grand Tank Bowls. It's hosted a lot of Super Bowls as well. Second most Super Bowls, I think. The first most is coming up, but you always get a nice. You're gonna be in warm climate temperatures when you come to a Miami Dolphins game at this stadium, because it is in Miami. It's in great. It's not necessarily the best NFL stadium though. It's just because it has good climate. That's why you're able to, have a good time there. Miami doesn't have always necessarily best on-field product, but whatever. I mean, it's hosted the Great Tank Bowls. That's all you really need, right? I don't want to put this one at A, man. I'm going to put it at A. Actually, I didn't want to put it at S, but I want to put it at A. Or do I? No, we're going to put it at S. This is Vikings Stadium. It's called US Bank Stadium. I've seen this one from the outside before. Brian's actually been to this stadium for a the Final Four, but this is the Vikings home. This one's another really new, recent building, and I think it's quite a masterpiece in my opinion. I like the architecture. It's shaped like a Viking ship, and it's quite a beauty in my opinion. Much needed over the Metrodome. Gillette Stadium is going to get a B tier ranking. This one has been home to a lot of great moments with Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, and all the great Patriots dynasty. But with Brady gone, the stadium's going to become irrelevant. But it's still pretty new. It was built in 2002. It's about 18 years old now. And it's just average. Just average. It's not anything too great, but it's not horrible either, Fits in really nice with some of these other stadiums, in my opinion. The Superdome, rip all Saints fans out here. It's going to get an A tier ranking, and I just have so much respect for this stadium, so much respect for it because it survived. It's a surprise. It's been around for a long time. It survived Hurricane Katrina, and it kept many people alive in there, and it still held up and was able to come back and host a football game in 2006. It was absolutely awesome. This stadium is just so, I think it just has so much respect. It's not a new, big, huge thing anymore, like Dallas, or like Atlanta, or like Minneapolis, or like LA, but it's respectable, and it has one of the greatest fan experiences with the Saints, Drew Brees, everything. You can't not have fun here, and that's why it's getting an A tier ranking. But it's not a technological marvelance, and it's not super historic either. That's why it's going to be getting only an A tier ranking. But I have all due respect for this stadium because it's been through a lot. It's a Hulk, and I hope it sticks around for a long time. Oh yeah. Also, it has the most Super Bowls ever hosted. That has in its name too. MetLife Stadium. Now, this is the questionable one. This is the only shared. Well, no, LA has the Chargers and the Rams, and then MetLife has the Jets and the Giants. So I'm probably gonna give this one a B tier as well. It's newer. It's the only open-aired, cold stadium to host a Super Bowl, which was weird. But it's newer, but it's not anything too great. Again, definitely more stadiums since have passed it up, but you get two of the biggest factory of sadnesses in the NFL right now, Giants and Jets, facing off there at least once a year together, and they get to each play games there. You're talking about some pretty good times. So, yeah. Moving on to our last S tier one. This is Vegas Stadium, home of the Raiders. Another brand new stadium for 2020. As of the recording of this video, the Raiders have yet to play a home game there, but by the time the video goes live, they will have played a game there. So, but I mean, it's a brand new stadium. It's beautiful. It's huge. I hope they get fans in there at some point, and it's in Vegas. What can not go wrong there? So, moving on to our last stadium, old Lincoln Financial Field, home of the Philadelphia Eagles, and this one's going to be finishing off with another B tier ranking there. Again, just an average stadium. It looks pretty cool in some of the pictures I've seen, but when you get a closer look at it, I don't think it's the best place to go see a game. The Eagles, our fan base, can be pretty rowdy, can be pretty selfish, can be pretty annoying. That's probably why it's not the best place to go see a game, but there you go. So there's our list, everybody. We got final results: 6 in the S tier, 8 in the A tier, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 in the B tier, 3 in the C tier, 0 in the D tier, 2 in the E tier, and 1 in the F tier. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. So alright guys, that's it. List completed. Next one up will be the NBA, and then followed by the NHL, and then I don't know when we're going to be doing another tier list after that. But until then, guys, see you guys later.